Les is back at it again, and we are going to be reviewing episode 3 of Kurulus Orhan, and I have to say, solid episode. Episode 2 was solid, this episode was solid, and episode 1 was a banger. Let me go through the plot recap, and then we will break it down and give a nice little review. So we start the episode off with Malhun meeting up with the Whitebeards, which is a bit strange because we've never seen this before. We've never seen a Hatun interact with the Whitebeards, let alone anyone other than the titular character, which is Ertuğrul, Osman, and then should have been Orhan. But I would say in this case, it's alright. It did stir some controversy with some of the fans, on Instagram and Reddit and so on and so forth, but I feel like in this case it's fine. Malhun Hatun is a well-respected woman who has a high position in power and a high reputation, and then she's like the mother of the state, right? Similar to Haimana, who was able to lead a tribe in her own right. So I didn't think there was anything wrong with the scene. And they just kind of talk about the future of the Kais and her kind of, I don't know about if it was like favoritism to Orhan, but she really does see Orhan as the guy who's supposed to take the mantle. Now, it is a bit strange because I feel like they should try to reduce this idea of favoritism, because we don't want to reopen the conflict between the two married women and their children, right? I feel like we got over that like at season 2 and then of Kurulus Osman, and then season 4 you could see that they're very as the kids grew older throughout season 4 and season 5 they become adults. There was never any conflict or anything between the two mothers, so I don't understand why they have to kind of reopen this can of worms again. I will say, however, Malhun does seem to be not like super biased towards Orhan. I think she just thinks that he's being treated unfairly because he lost the command. But my opinion is, I don't see any issue with Osman's decision, right? Orhan failed the big siege, got a bunch of people killed, got his right-hand man captured. The guy deserves to be kind of demoted, at least for a little bit. Major plot point that we see is, dude, what is this guy's name? Like, one day it's Khalid, one day it's Halil, one day it's, I don't know who this guy is. 3 episodes in and I don't know who this guy is. But anyways, him and Fatima basically go finding the poison in the tent. They figure out that the doctor has been poisoning Osman this whole time, and Orhan sets out of the tribe to go find the poison and the cure. Orhan finds the perpetrator, beats up him and his group of goons, and I have to say, big credit to Mert. I haven't really been feeling Mert as a main character still, but I have to say big credit to him and the rest of the production crew, because the action sequences have been absolutely fantastic. A lot of great choreography, and the main character, the main actor, does play a big part in ensuring that happens. I mean, he's the one who goes in, spends time with the trainers and the choreographers, and comes up with a really good fight sequence. And you can see even in these little battles where they can just kind of wing it and do the typical 1, 2, 3 block, kill, swing attack, they actually put an effort in these little tiny skirmishes, which is, in my opinion, says a lot. I sound like a broken record, but typical Gonja crying and becoming a second wife and all that nonsense. Here we re-explore this kind of alliance between the Mongols and the Byzantine, with TIMURTASH and Flavius kind of agreeing to attack the Kai tribe on 4 different fronts, right? The Mongols will take one, the Byzantine will take one, and then the rest of the Turkish Emirates that they kind of have dominion over will attack the other fronts. It's a very uneasy relationship, which I actually like. I mean, this is typical, right? We've seen this many times before with Nikola and Togay, and then many other instances of like an uneasy alliance between the Byzantine and Mongols. But this one is done pretty cleverly, because Flavius is actually a very interesting, I would almost put him as an anti-villain, because he's kind of an honorable villain. And then TIMURTASH is a very Machiavellian type of villain. He's very intelligent. He's not your typical really powerful Mongol who just throws his weight around. No, he's actually a very intelligent and charming and politically savvy Mongol, which I really like. Shahin Shah is another really great character that's kind of blurs the line between hero and villain. He's a good guy. He's a strong guy, great commander, but he really disagrees with Orhan. And if you look at it from his perspective, you can understand why, right? Orhan really just goes out and does things on his own, and kind of messes up the sequence of events that this guy has planned out in order to achieve their goals. So Shahin Shah here, and throughout the entire episode, he kind of unravels into a very kind of anxious and angry leader, because Orhan keeps foiling whatever plans that he has set in motion. And on top of that, he sees the existential threat that they're in right now. He sees that on all sides the vultures are engulfing the tribe, and he's really he for some reason, and I wish they kind of explored why they think the things that they think. For some reason, he really thinks that if they allocate all their resources to attacking Bursa, all their problems will be solved. But this is a opportunity for Aladdin, in my opinion, to kind of counteract and be like, hey, listen, wait a minute, that's not smart. Which actually he actually does, but I wish they actually gave a little more depth into the reasoning behind their thoughts, right? Aladdin should be like, okay, we put all our armies to take Bursa, then what? Everything else is left out in the open. And then the moment we leave Bursa to take everything else back, right, the borders and the cities, then Bursa is left out in the open, right? So I think that they should do a little more delving deeper into their thought processes. And then what we can see here is there's kind of a small divide in kind of loyalties, right? You have Shahin Shah, Aladdin, and then that one bull dude on one side, and then you have Boran and Cherkutai right in the middle, and then you have Orhan and a few other guys who are kind of on his side. No one is really able to fully dedicate to being on his side because they really want to avoid any kind of schism between the leaders of the tribe. But you can see that there's cracks starting to form. Blah 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 Alp made some funny comments, and then whatever the hell this guy's name is kind of roasted him. You can see they're kind of trying to poise blah 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 Alp as being the next Bamsi, a strong, fierce warrior who is not the sharpest tool in the shed. The themes that they're kind of going with Orhan is pretty interesting. So he's very similar to Ertugrul in that his kind of approach is different to what the rest of the tribe and the Beys and even the head of the tribe kind of wants to approach. But the difference is this: in Ertugrul's time, Suleiman Shah was not really ever sick to the point where he couldn't lead the tribe. He was kind of a strong figure the entire time, and Ertugrul wasn't actually going against the grain or the path that Suleiman Shah set, but rather he went out on his own way to achieve the goals. He went to Halep, he went to try to find some land for his people. He got kind of disconnected. That brought a little bit of trouble with the Seljuk Empire, and then when everyone told him to kind of, hey, settle down, calm down a bit, he kind of doubles down and kind of fights on all sides between the Templars, the Seljuk tribe, and then some of the Halep folks. But to me, I think Orhan's kind of rebellious approach is a little different. Obviously, they're not rebelling in that they're completely going against the words of their Beys, but Orhan is a little more hot-tempered and solely focused on one goal, right? For example, in this, he doesn't, in the last episode, didn't care about anything but getting Boran out, which is fine. That was under the command of Osman. Here, he's going against all of the Beys, right, while Osman is kind of down, and just doing whatever he can to get the cure or find out who's poisoning Osman. It doesn't matter what troubles will befall them. So yeah, I would say that their themes are very similar actually between Ertugrul and Orhan. I think that's the kind of direction that they're going. Osman never really had that problem, Ertugrul was never really in the tribe, and he just kind of did his own thing. So this scene was hilarious. Flavios out here trying to rizz up Fatima Hatun, but also it provided a lot of good insight and character development into who he was, right? He can be really tricky, but you can see that there's this sense of genuineness in his eyes, in that he really just wants to do what he thinks is right, and that is getting vengeance for his father and brother, right? So yeah, this was a good, interesting, and a good introduction for Fatima Hatun too. And he's one of those actors who can really portray a lot of emotion through his eyes. And yeah, you can tell that he kind of feels bad about what he has to do to Fatima Hatun, but nice new character introduction. I mean, he was in the last episode, but this is where he actually gets some screen time. And Yital was actually really cool. Good character, good fighter. He tanked a really bad, like, stab to the gut. I don't know if he's gonna make it, but he had a lot of, like, nice screen time and aura. Also, big shout out, he had an amazing sequence in the fight choreography. And this is, again, every single battle, skirmish, ambush has a unique fight, which I've really, really been enjoying about this show. I find it really unfortunate that they turned this guy into a spy for the Chavdar tribe. He's actually, I feel like this guy should have been Orhan. Like, if Emre had to go, this is the dude they should have casted in this place. I mean, this guy has aura. But anyways, I think he's gonna get caught and he's gonna turn to the good side. He doesn't seem like a really bad guy. He just seems like a dude who's just trying to, succeed in a mission for his tribe. That's all. Here we start to really explore the turmoil between the Hatuns of the tribe, right? They're starting to kind of question Malahun's favoritism towards Orhan. It's true though, it's true. Why is it that, like, Nilüfer and Orhan, they're not at, like, a meeting or a meeting where they kind of make decisions, and then decisions are made, and then they get mad that those decisions were made without their, like, consultation or their input? Y'all weren't in the freaking meetings, you know what I mean? Like, why are y'all getting mad? And then also, fine, you guys lost your posts, your positions. You can't be so hateful. You can't be so angry about it. Just take it, take it to the chin and do the best with what you got, and, that's it. So I feel like Nilüfer and Orhan are kind of causing some trouble there. And that's what I don't like, right? They don't kind of respect, I think they in their hearts respect the traditions and the laws, but in their actions they don't. That's kind of where, like, Ertugrul's kind of rebellious, or, his kind of ways were a bit different to Orhan's. No matter what, he always respected the decisions of the tribe, of the Beys, and the positions of their leaders, their brothers, so on and so forth. And so that's, like, one spot where I kind of disagree with Orhan. Aura potential? Any potential? Maybe. While Shahin Shah's character seems to be morally ambiguous, but leaning on the good side, his wife's character is kind of power greedy. Your typical power greedy, like, mother-in-law or aunt or sister or whatever, and I don't like her character. Once again, and I don't know if this is a new addition or not, but a beautiful, beautiful shot of the interior of Bursa. They're really, really making it show that it's, like, huge, right? This is what I like. I like to see that this castle that they keep talking about, that they've been talking about for 2 or 3 seasons straight, they show that it's very grandiose. I like that. Again, TIMURTASH is quickly becoming one of my favorite characters. I mean, this actor is amazing. He has such swagger, right? He gets invited to this castle. He sees, like, this huge garrison of troops and weaponry, and he sees through it. And he's like, yeah, y'all can show me all this, but I need action. I need results. Like, this grandiose kind of appearance doesn't mean anything to me when you guys fail to get rid of the Turks and your enemies and your opposition. So, nah, TIMURTASH is a beast. And I read into his real history, and he is an interesting character with an actual story full of ups and downs and lefts and rights, and he kind of, like, he's all over the world with his history, and he's a super interesting character. So I really hope that they show this more. I hope he just doesn't end up just being a one and done type of villain. I hope he becomes a really, like, dynamic and interesting character, as he was in history. And the actor is phenomenal, so yeah, big credit. At this scene at the war camp, you see 2 Alps who are kind of caught for, I don't really know what their exact crime was, but it seems that they had some dissent towards Shahin Shah and Alaaddin being the leaders. And so Shahin Shah makes an example of them, slaps them up, beats them down, throws them to the ground, embarrasses them, demotes them, as they kind of deserve. Because, again, this kind of harkens back to the point that I made earlier, right? Even though you disagree to, like, maybe what's happening, you still have to be loyal and show your full support towards the larger power, the greater power that is the tribe itself. So I think Shahin Shah is in the right here, and he's right to be angry. And the thing is, I feel like what I see is Shahin Shah spiraling out of control, right? It starts off with He's getting opposition to the position he was given. He's getting opposition by Orhan. He's getting opposition by Orhan's Alps. All of his plans are getting foiled because of Orhan's interruptions indirectly. And so what's going to probably happen is he's probably going to end up just getting really bitter and angry and become a villain, right? And in my opinion, he's kind of justified in doing so. So, yeah, that's my prediction. These scenes where Shahin Shah, TIMURTASH, and some other characters kind of discuss and kind of parlay are some of my favorite scenes. One, because the actors are really, really good. I mean, Shahin Shah is an incredible actor. Coupled with TIMURTASH, you have these two powerhouses together, and they always make for interesting, dynamic, and fun scenes to watch. So big credit to these actors and these characters. It's super cool the way that TIMURTASH is different too. He's not he's not even a typical villain. He's a very, very, he's a villain with many layers. I like how he walks and he says, all right, let's skip the nonsense. Let's get straight into it. We know Usman is sick. You guys are surrounded by, on all fronts. Just drop the siege, right? Just keep the siege and drop the siege. And Shahin Shah, he kind of makes a mockery of it. He's being so smug. It's pretty funny. I think it's a bluff. And he's like, and then TIMURTASH is like, okay, I really hope you can't pay the taxes. I just hope you can, because I really want to, decapitate you or whatever. So it's just pretty funny to watch their interactions, but also cool. They also do a really good job of keeping the stakes high. And it's just interesting to see how these people in power discuss and talk about the futures of their tribes, their castles, their empires, and it's interesting to see, right? Everyone says, hey, they're being straight up. Listen, lift the siege, everything will be alright. If not, you guys are gonna get cooked. Shahin Shah's like, I don't think you can. And then you have the Tekfur, who's just kind of standing there, but I don't know, he's kind of a bum. This was a really nice and heartfelt scene where Aladdin kind of pours his heart out, talking about how his mind and his heart are torn, right? He loves his brother, he cares for his brother, but his brother is making his job a lot more difficult, and he feels really bad that they have to kind of dish it out and fight. And this is really nice. This is really nice because it kind of shows that this kind of hints towards the future, that Aladdin is gonna kind of give up his share of the empire, so that Orhan can be just the one designated leader. That way the empire is not split and can be powerful, which is a practice that I wish the rest of his descendants followed, but clearly they didn't. But anyways, it was interesting. It was nice to see Malhoun was pretending to sleep and she listened to that whole thing and teared up, and it was a very emotionally powerful scene in my opinion. Again, it just kind of establishes Aladdin as a really good character who has a lot of vision and foresight and empathy, and can separate his heart and his mind, which is a very powerful trait to have in any kind of leader or advisor for an empire or any kind of state. So yeah, great character. I just wish they showed him as a little more intelligent, a little more of a tactician, a little more of a brilliant mind, other than just being a medical guy. Now this scene right here was pretty cool. I don't really see how he could sneak around this camp full of troops who are kind of patrolling and whatnot, but it's whatever. I really like that he grabbed that gun arrow, and he's kind of holding Flavius hostage, and they discuss for a few moments. And you can see that Orhan doesn't have complete hate for Flavius, and to an extent kind of understands him. And Flavius also, he's not again your typical 2D evil villain. He has real, actual, believable reasons to hate Orhan, right? And he just really wants to get his revenge for both his brother and his father. But he's also sensible, right? He knows he's trapped. He knows he is kind of being held at arrow point, I'll call it. And they still have a nice little battle. I just don't like that Orhan got the better of him again for the second time. In this little scuffle that they had, where he kind of cuts his hand a bit, and it's they always have to show Orhan one-upping him somehow, right? And that's not good. That is not good for a villain. That is absolutely abysmal for a villain. They need to do better on that. So finally, this guy gets revealed as a traitor or a spy. But again, I think he's gonna end up being a good guy, and these two are definitely gonna end up as lovers. And in typical Bozdag fashion, these guys love spamming their explosives. It's a good excuse. They did it pretty well, right? I think every faction at this point has access to the black powder, or like the flying flame, as they used to call it. And Orhan just kind of stole a bucket and used that as his kind of escape plan. The only thing is, I think they should have, like, what happened was they all got dazed by it. But I think what should have happened, and like Flavius, okay, so this is where I disagree with their direction. Flavius ends up escaping on horseback, even though he's a little dazed, right? But then everybody in the scene are dazed, so they're all currently in an equal state. So then why did Flavius have to retreat? You know what I mean? If they're all equally dazed, but Orhan and them are the ones who are outnumbered, right? It's not like every single troop got eliminated or eviscerated by this one explosion. Then why did Flavius escape? Or at the very least, they should have shown and kind of made us understand why this one explosion took out all of Flavius's troops. Because at the end, that's kind of what it seemed like. But I don't know, to me it didn't seem like they were much further than Orhan and his Alps. Man, I'm gonna be mixing up Osman and Orhan like so much in these reviews. But anyways, what they should have done was, number one, like, show Orhan and his Alps being further away, or at least Orhan's Alps being further away, Flavius's troops getting absolutely eviscerated, right? But at the very least, they still have a few guys who are still okay. And then Orhan and Flavius both being equally knocked out, and then Orhan's Alps dragging Orhan away, right? Like, kind of like to safety, right? And then Flavius maybe being dragged away too, or at the very least, he just stays where he's at. He's not the one who should have retreated in this case, in my opinion. This is like a last second, like, escape, right? It's not like it's like his dominating, like, power move or something. But of course, they can't ever show Orhan as weak, unfortunately. Next up, we have this dream sequence where Osman is kind of dreaming of Orhan, and he feels bad that his hand is bloodied with Orhan's, stab wound or whatever. And I think he's just kind of like feeling bad about, demoting Orhan and putting him in a bad position and so on and so forth. And then, Osman is the dreamer of the state. He had this kind of divine dream earlier on, so Osman's always going to have these interesting dreams that kind of have a good insight towards the future. Orhan comes back with the cure and hands it over to Aladdin, who is the one who administrates that cure because he is the medical genius. And it was a nice, like, little token of brotherly bondmanship again, right? And you can see Aladdin, even as the authorized commander, which is what Orhan even indicates, he says, hey, you're the leader. He tells Orhan to give out the little speech that, hey, Osman is better, we healed him up, and everything is going to be alright, which is just a nice little gesture. Now, one major criticism I have right now is that I have never seen or felt the Kai tribe feel so small. Not in Ertugrul, which had supposedly a lower budget. Actually, someone can correct me on that. I think TRT actually has bigger budgets. But anyways, not in Ertugrul, not in Osman, I've never seen this tribe look so small. And this is supposed to be when they're at their biggest. So it's a very big visual dichotomy, right? Where the idea is that the Kai tribe is now a Beylik, an Imaret in of itself, right? And a full-on sovereign entity, which it doesn't feel like that at all. It feels like it's gotten smaller since, Kurulus Osman. And then, like, visually we see this, like a handful of people, like even the tribe itself. In Ertugrul and Osman, the tribe itself, earlier Osman, I mean, there were like at least 3 or 4 different sections to this tribe. It was huge. But like now it's like there's only one shot of the tribe. There's only that one like entryway into the tribe, and that's it. So it's like, this is a big problem. Anyways, this episode ends with Osman back at the head of the table. He's back to, kind of full health, and we're going to see him as a larger part of the story again. I really hope that the rest of the season they show him as a strong leader and warrior. This actor can actually fight. We've seen in the first episode, so it's not like he's fully decrepit. And yeah, it's really nice to see everyone back together again. And last but not least, got my absolute GOAT Boran back on the strings again. I love when Boran sings. Guy's amazing. Anyways, that's it for today. Overall, solid episode. I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10 again. Choreography, fight choreography, amazing. The storylines have been really good. They're really stringing the storylines together pretty nice and tightly. The character development has been very consistent, and yeah, the episode has been really nice. It's been good. They've been doing a really good job. So honestly, this is what Kurulus Orhan season 6 should have been. This is what the quality and the standards of that season, that's what that should have been. But it's fine. So yeah, honestly, it's looking good, and I look forward to episode 4. Thanks guys, have a good one.